Your mic's muted. That's not good. That's not a good start. Good afternoon. Welcome back to True Gunners TV. Listen, this stream was supposed to be 7 o'clock tonight. Then it's been changed to 2:15. Look, I decided to start this early because I've got a lot of things to get off my chest. So to the people that are watching, of course, make sure you're slapping up them likes as usual. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And look, we're going to get straight into it. Let's talk about Manchester City. Of course, you've all seen the thumbnail. Manchester City last night completed the treble. Only the second team in England to ever win a treble. The treble, by the way. The Champions League, the Premier League, and one of the most respected domestic cups in world football in the FA Cup. And I'm embarrassed as an Arsenal fan. I'm embarrassed because Sheikh Mansour took over at Manchester City. Regardless, there's a lot of speculation about all this 115 charges. Will it tarnish their thing? And look, we'll get into that in a bit. But Sheikh Mansour took over at Manchester City in 2008. They never really got going in terms of spending money until 2010. But if we take it back to 2008, right? That means that in the space of 15 years, they have eclipsed every single achievement that Arsenal Football Club has ever done. They've eclipsed Chelsea. They've eclipsed Liverpool. They've eclipsed Tottenham. However, all these idiots online want to come out talking the big talk, this and that. And I'm seeing Arsenal fans celebrating that Manchester City have won the treble, celebrating that Manchester City completed that treble last night by winning the Champions League. A trophy that we've never fucking won. Who are these fools? Who are these idiots? Oh, Invincibles, is yours gold? Who gives a shit? A treble is 3 trophies. An Invincible season is 1. Which is the better achievement? Come on, get serious now. And this is why I will always have questions about whether we are a serious football club or not. Because the fan base isn't. The fan base is far from serious. Talking about, well, the only team ever to have done an Invincibles and nobody's ever matched it. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, Man United, ha ha ha. City have just matched your biggest ever achievement. Guess what? City's achievement and United's achievement is bigger than anything our football club has ever fucking done. And this is why we're full of fucking serial losers. And I was so angry last night to see all these people in the comment sections on the Football Terrace and on Twitter giving it, Invincibles. Yeah, Invincibles. 20 years ago. 20 years ago. When was the last time we won the league title? 20 years ago. When was the last time we won the Champions League? Oh, yeah, we haven't. And all these fans want to come out here with chest. Invincibles. Dickheads. Dickheads. I'm sorry, but I am fuming about that. You should feel embarrassed. Embarrassed. We moved to the Emirates to achieve what Manchester City have just achieved. We moved to the Emirates to become the best, to compete with Europe's elite. And we have just watched a club that, let's be honest, was a dead club until Sheikh Mansour come in 2008. A dead club. And they've achieved more than what we've ever achieved. And let's get it right as well. Terry read it out last night, right? And I can't remember the exact figures, but in terms of trophies overall, because that's how you measure a football club and how big they are, right? Arsenal are on, I think, 48 trophies, major trophies. So FA Cups, League Cups, Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues, all included into that. Manchester City are now on 32. And they've only been a big club for 15 years. In 2 or 3 years' time, probably not 2 or 3 actually, I think that's a bit soon. But in 3 or 4 years' time, 5 years' time, they might be a bigger club than us in terms of trophies won. And idiots are out here celebrating that. Celebrating that. In terms of the game though, right? Let's get into the game a little bit. I thought City were quite sloppy, to be fair. You could tell that the occasion had got to their players. You could tell that they felt the pressure, like this was the one that has been evading them for so long, and this is the one that not only completes their treble, but it's the one that they all wanted to win, you know. And they were up against the Inter Milan side. I see a lot of people, and look, I include myself in this, thinking this is going to be 3, 4, 5-0 to Man City. And yeah, they started the game a little bit sloppy. Didn't really manage to keep hold of possession in the way that Manchester City tend to keep hold of possession. They was making a few silly mistakes. Inter Milan, on the other hand, were very, very good in the way that they set up. They kept it tight. They're extremely aggressive in their attacking, in their tackling and their pressing. And they impressed me quite a bit, to be fair. They nullified City in that first half, especially. Then Kevin De Bruyne had to come off, early injury. And you start to think, oh, you know, maybe this isn't going to be City's day. You know, one of their best players has had to go off injured. But this is the difference in quality, I'm afraid. When you've got Phil Foden on the bench, you've got Mahrez on the bench, you've got all these players on the bench. Kevin De Bruyne wasn't really missed last night, let's be honest. Then going into the second half of the game as well, very much the same, you know. I also felt like, you know, if Inter had have kept it tight, maybe, just maybe, they might have nicked it at the end. But, you know, City, in terms of their quality, they've got so many players that could step up in big moments. You know, we've seen it over the past couple of weeks with Gundogan, Rodri last night, Ederson as well. You know, some spectacular saves he pulled off towards the end there that ultimately won City the game. You know, and then of course you got the opposite end with Inter Milan. Lautaro Martinez, by the way, I don't get the hype around this guy. Somebody tell me why this guy is so hyped. Because he looks like a bang average player to me. You know, no physicality. Nothing really stands out about his game that makes me think, wow, you know, he could succeed in the Premier League. I guarantee you right now, if a club is stupid enough to go and spend 70, 75, 80 million pound on this guy, he will not succeed in the Premier League at a big club. No way. No way. Yeah, that guy, he's not good enough, unfortunately. You know, he's not. And then you've got Lukaku. I mean, you could talk about Edin Dzeko. Dzeko, he's getting on a bit. You know, he played, 60 minutes of the game. Wasn't really involved. So we're kind of push him to one side. But Lukaku's supposed to be the guy to come on and offer a little something different for Inter and be the bagman, score the goals. That's what Lukaku is supposedly very, very good at. This brother, though, like, he's got no awareness whatsoever. He saved Manchester City from conceding a goal by basically clearing it, you know. Um, like, no positional awareness whatsoever. Like, how do you do that? And then an open goal, pretty much. He had a whole of the right hand side of the goal to aim at, and he heads it straight at fucking Edison. Straight at Edison. And the thing is you got Kevin Campbell, and I see this the other day. Kevin Campbell talking about Arsenal should go and sign this guy. Like, really? Really? His first touch is awful. He has far too many chances before he puts the ball in the back of the net. He's what, 30 years old now? And you're saying go out and sign this guy? Really? Really? And what we see from Lukaku last night was no different to what we've seen from Lukaku in the entire time that he's been in the Premier League. Apart from maybe when he was at Everton. When he was at Everton, he was good. He was exceptional. But then when it comes to like making the big move to the big club, Manchester United, very similar to how he was last night. Chelsea, there's a reason why they let him go, and then they stupidly brought him back in and then let him go again. Like, make that make sense? It doesn't make no sense to me, But yeah, he's not good enough. He really isn't. So I don't want to see Romelu Lukaku anywhere near Arsenal. Anywhere near Arsenal. So unfortunately, I don't agree on that one. But moving on from the game, and I'll get into a few of your comments in just a second. But of course, City winning the treble, and if you've seen this the thumbnail, you'll know. The question that I'm asking today is, how do we catch them? How do we catch them? They've won the treble this season. They've won 5 out of the last 6 Premier League trophies. League Cups. I think this is one of their first FA Cups, to be fair. But League Cups, serial winning team with a serial winner of a manager. How do we catch them, Arsenal? Because I would say that based off of what happened last season, and you can only go by recent, seasons and form and stuff like that, we are probably the closest to Manchester City right now. You could argue that Liverpool probably had a bit of an off season last season, and they will probably be back. And they have competed with Manchester City and won a Premier League ahead of them in the last 3-4 years. So maybe it's a bit unjustified for me to sit here and say Arsenal are the closest. But if we go off of what happened last season, you'd probably have to say that's right. So what do we need? What do we need to do to catch these guys? Because I'm looking at it and I'm just thinking, you had the domination era where Man United just dominated. Nobody could get near them. I have got a horrible, horrible feeling that this is what Manchester City are going to be for the next 10 years. Just domination. Nobody can get near them. And unless other teams in the league fix up real quick, and when I say fix up, I mean take it seriously. I'm like I said about these fans last night. You're not serious. He's yours gold. Look at Man United. How about concentrate on what's going on at your own club and think about ways that we could catch them, because we need to. Otherwise, this is just it's going to become, like I said, another domination era for Manchester. Except from this time it'll be City instead of United. We can't have that. We can't have that. So, look, first things first, you can't, as a fan base, be seriously sitting there and saying, is yours gold? That's not a way to be taken seriously. And then secondly, I'm going to talk about the transfers. And look, I've got people that say I am negative, and I understand why you'd feel that way. But I just want the best from my football club. I want the best from my football club. I want the best players at my football club. I want the best manager at my football club. Because guess what? We're Arsenal, and we should be doing what City are doing right now. That is exactly why we moved here and all of that. And I'm not going to keep going on about it. But the first things first, right? William Saliba has signed a new deal at Arsenal. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah. Really pleased about that. And I'm pleased that Arsenal are learning from past mistakes, I would say. Signing up their best players to long-term contracts before it reaches that stage where we've only got 1 year left. I know Saliba was a different case altogether, but Bukayo Saka, Aaron Ramsdale, who's the other one? We're talking about Martin Odegaard possibly extending his contract as well. These are all players that had big parts to play in our season last season. And they're all players that I do feel can elevate their level and elevate Arsenal as well. So I'm happy to see them signing new deals. Reece Nelson, on the other hand, big questions have to be asked about that one, but I've already explained about that. But I'm happy to see these players signing new deals, wanting to stay, extending their contracts. To begin with, it was a bit of a joke what we was offering Saliba, 120k a week, 20k more than Eddie Nketiah. No wonder the guy was screaming no. There's talk that there was other clubs that had high interest in him as well. Real Madrid, PSG. Of course, we know that. We know that's a fact. He's a quality player. And it's good to see that Arsenal are not losing these players to bigger clubs now. We have a bit of pull. It's good. It's good. So I'm happy about that. However, moving into the transfer market now, Declan Rice. And I don't want to keep saying it over and over and over because I sound like a parrot. Yeah. Repeating myself over and over and over again. How long ago was the Conference League final now? What, 4, 5, 6 days? What, 5 days ago? When was it? Tuesday? So, yeah. What, 5 days ago? And we still haven't officially bid for Declan Rice. However, we've been told time and time again, Arsenal are waiting for the Conference League to finish. Then we're going to make a move for Declan Rice. Now we're being told, oh, it's next week. And then next week, when it don't happen, it'll be the week after. To catch City, we cannot afford to be slow in the transfer market. At the end of the day, right, I understand that Arsenal are trying to be respectful to West Ham. They're trying to keep a good relationship with them in terms of, look, you're playing your final. We're not going to distract the player. We're going to keep a good relationship with you just to kind of get you on our good side. So maybe we could get him a little bit of a lower price than what you're expecting, right? That's fair enough. However, if that doesn't happen now, then we look like fools. And we look like fools anyway. Let's get it right? We look like fools anyway because we was told, wait till after the Conference League final, then bid. We still haven't bid. And this is our main target. And while I understand these deals take time, it's a lot of money, this, that, and the other, right? Declan Rice is going to be playing international football this week coming. Then after that, he's going to want to go on holiday. So when is the right time to get this deal done? Because I'm not sure. I'm scratching my head at this. And not only that, okay, Declan Rice is our main target. It's a difficult deal to get done. I understand that. Caicedo's, another one, right? But it's not like we just need these two players and it fixes everything at Arsenal. We need 5 or 6 players, right? And we're seeing other clubs going out there, doing business, getting it done, moving on to their next target before the window's even opened. Yeah? Why are we not doing that? The one good thing about Arsenal last season was we was fairly proactive in our transfer window. So when it come to pre-season, yeah, we had all our major targets signed, sealed, delivered in Arsenal shirts, ready to go. You can integrate them into the squad, and we're ready to go as soon as the season starts. Instead of the typical old Arsenal thing, which was, well, we'll sign them after the first 2 games of the season when we're struggling, and it'll make it look like we're doing something. And by then, it's too late. It's too late. So I want to see Arsenal being proactive. I'll give them a little bit of a leeway because the window isn't open. However, if I don't see Declan Rice in an Arsenal shirt on the opening day of that transfer window opening, I'm going to be fuming. I ain't going to lie. I'm going to be fuming. Fuming. Listen, guys, just give me 2 seconds because I've got to go get my charger because my laptop's about to die. Apologies about that, guys. That's extremely unprofessional. Extremely unprofessional. Fail to prepare, then you prepare to fail, as the saying goes. So apologies for that. But anyway, as I was saying, Declan Rice, it's a deal that needs to get done, and it needs to get done quickly, very quickly. Another player as well, Moises Caicedo, same thing. So yeah, I can't really say much more on them 2 players. We are getting heavily linked as well to this guy here, Timothy Castagna. First, it's Cancelo. Now it's this guy. It's clear to see that Arsenal are looking at another fullback. Timothy Castagna, however, what are we trying to do? I don't understand this. We should be looking at our first 11, saying, look, we fell short last season. Don't care what anybody says, we fell short last season. We need to improve our starting 11. And some of our starting 11 players need to become the bench players. Example, Thomas Partey. Yeah, for me, he needs to be the rotational player now. Gabriel Jesus, another one. We need a better number 9 who can score goals consistently. But it seems to me like we're just looking at backup options, backup. Is Timothy Castagna good enough to challenge Ben White for that right back role? Or is he going to be another Cedric? Do you know what I mean? And look, he's got Premier League experience. Apart from that, though, it's not one where you look at it and you go, fucking hell, what a signing. What a shrewd signing by Arsenal. If you want a shrewd signing by Arsenal, go and get me James Maddison. But we're looking at this brother, and it's like, what are we trying to do? I don't understand. I really don't understand. So look, we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. But there's strong links to him today. Obviously, strong links to Gundogan, and we spoke about him before. But it looks as though I think he will sign a new contract at Manchester City. And if he doesn't, I genuinely do think he'll go to Barcelona over Arsenal anyway, because looking at the reports, they have offered him extremely, ridiculous wages really for a player of his age. But it is understandable. The guy, I'd love to see him at Arsenal. I'd love to see him at Arsenal purely and simply because I feel like we lacked leadership last season. I feel like we lacked the elite mentality, and he's just captained them to a treble. Regardless of his age, why wouldn't you want him on a free transfer as well? Why wouldn't you want him? Makes no sense to me. But yeah, I think he'll end up staying at Manchester City. Of course, I've already just kind of touched on Cancelo. I don't want this guy. I don't want this guy. We've already got one fullback that cannot defend. I do not want another one. I don't. And people sit there and say, look, he's one of the best attacking fullbacks in world football. I don't care. Yeah, it's all well and good being able to attack. Can you defend? That's my thing. Can you defend? Your primary role as a defender is to, clues in the name, defend. So if you're not adequate when it comes to defending, all your attacking side of things, like, kind of just outweighs it in a way. You look at Zinchenko last season. Zinchenko did some really good stuff for Arsenal going forward, in the midfield. Attacking wise and link up play wise, excellent. But then you look at the business end of the season and he cost us. He cost us because he was out of position for a handful of goals, or he just wasn't good enough defensively for a handful of goals in the big games, in the big moments. And that outweighs what he can do for us on a pitch, attacking wise. It's all right being good attacking wise if it wins you the league or if it wins you something. It's all right having defensive deficiencies and being good attacking if it wins you something. If it doesn't, and it ends up costing you in the end, then you have to look at this and say, look, maybe we need somebody who's a little bit more defensively sound. Cancelo is not that guy. He really is not that guy. And the price that they're talking about as well, I don't want him. I don't. I'm sorry, I don't want him. However, one player that I would take from Manchester City, and a lot of people are not really talking about this guy, but there's been rumours around that, he's been looking to leave for a while. Whether he will or not, I don't know. Like I say, he's just achieved the treble with Manchester City. So would he leave? Probably not. But if I was Arsenal, I'd be taking a long, hard look at Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva would be perfect for us and for what we need right now. Can you imagine Declan Rice in the 6 or Caicedo in the 6 and then Bernardo Silva and Martin Odegaard in the 8 and the 10? That would just be ridiculous in my mind, And, Silva is another player who, look, we want to be a team that retains the ball, passes in between the lines, starts attacks from defence, from goalkeeper, through the midfield. His ball retention is exceptional. He steps up in the big moments again, and he's another player with an elite mentality who has achieved it all at Manchester City. And, if there's a possibility that this guy might want to leave, Arsenal should be looking at him and saying, look, we'll take him. We'll take him because he'd improve our midfield no end. He can play on the wing as well, So you got an option there in Bernardo because he can play in midfield. He can play out wide. It gives the competition that we need for Bukayo Saka as well, if needed. If you bring in Rice and Caicedo alongside him, you got the options to rotate and play different players in different positions. Caicedo can also play right back. So, options are there. Options. And it doesn't affect the level either. It's not like you're bringing in a El Neni or something stupid like that. You've got plenty of different ways of playing, different styles and options. So I'd be looking into that, me personally. Listen, I'm not feeling 100%. I ain't going to lie. I've had this cold for a while. So I am going to wrap the stream up in just a minute, but it'd be rude for me to not get into some of your comments in the comment section. Make sure, like I say at the beginning of every video, if you haven't already, smash that like button, please, please, please. And subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. And look, leave your comments as well. How do you think we can catch Manchester City? Do you think we can catch Manchester City? So let me know. How are we doing? Guys? Let me move back up to the top of the comment section. We got Taib in here. How are we doing, Taib? Big up yourself. As long as we have the Cronkies as owners and an incompetent board, and Arteta in charge, Arsenal are going nowhere. Listen, there you go. Joseph, how are we doing, Joseph? Stop copying Lee Gunner, you clown. Hey, here we go. Stop copying Lee Gunner. Okay. Funny that. Because me and Lee Gunner have an elite mentality. We're not dickheads like you, you'll probably come on here, or you've probably come on here after sitting there last night typing Invincibles. Wallad. He's not copying anyone. Pop down, raise the standards. There you go. Enough said about him. Jaminho, big up yourself. How we doing, bro? Lots of big ups. Big up. We moved to the Emirates to win the Champions League and compete at a higher level. 6 English clubs have won the Champions League, 7 British clubs, and Arsenal haven't won one. Tells you all you need to know. Jaminho says Inter should have took their chances. They should have, no doubt. And they'll be reflecting on that, no doubt, because in reality, they probably had the better chances. But they don't have the quality that Manchester City have got. And it showed last night, It showed. And the worst thing is as well, I forgot all about this. Erling Haaland hasn't even turned up for the past 5 weeks. Erling Haaland, you haven't really heard him being mentioned. He's had average performances in, the FA Cup final. He wasn't great. Last night he wasn't great. Even the back end of the season in the Premier League, he wasn't great. He wasn't tearing it up. He wasn't doing what Erling Haaland has been doing all season. And it just goes to show how great Manchester City are, because they didn't even need this guy, and they still won a treble. Do you know what I mean? If Lukaku was a competent striker, Inter could have actually won 100%. Lautaro is awful. I agree. I really don't get the hype around that guy. Hendon, how we doing? He says, good afternoon, Brandon, and all the real ones watching. The real ones, yeah? None of these, invincibles, dickheads. Oliver, how we doing, Oliver? Big up, Brandon. Love you, my guy. Keep the realism. Don't ever change. Big up yourself, Oliver. I appreciate that, realism is something that needs to be slapped across these Arsenal fans' faces, because otherwise we are never going to go anywhere as a football club. And Lukaku goes back to Chelsea after this. I know. They might as well have a yard sale because the amount of players they've got to get rid of, and this guy should be top of the list as well. But I don't know anybody who's paying £100 million for £100 million for Lukaku. Like honestly. How do Arsenal catch City? Here we go. Simply employ a proper experienced manager and have more professional, experienced and competent and dedicated player recruitment, scouting and transfer department. Exactly. Like, it's not like we haven't spent big money. You know what I mean? Like, we have spent a lot of money. So we just don't spend it correctly. I mean, to be honest with you, the players that we have brought in and the players that we had last season, they're signings that you look at and you think, okay, you know, when they come through the door, you're like, not sure about this one. But now is the time that Arsenal need to spend the big money. You know, this is the time where, you know, we're 4 or 5 players away from being there, and we need to go out and get them 4 or 5 players. We need to spend big. Fuck off. Do City spend what you want and pay the fine at the end. There you go. There you go. How the hell has Chelsea and City won the Champions League before us? So shameful. You should feel shamed. Every Arsenal fan should feel ashamed. Has Saliba actually signed the new contract? I heard it's just a verbal agreement. It's not official. However, Fabrizio Romano, and he's probably about the only, you know, journalist that I trust to get things right, because he does get 90% or 95% of things that he tweets out right. And he basically said it's done. It just needs to be announced. It's done. So that's good news. A change of ownership from the Middle East and a proper board with an elite manager with his players. That's how we stop City. Okay. Rice will take a holiday before a decision anyway. That's how end of season works. See, there you go. You know, this Rice saga could drag on and drag on and drag on and drag on. And in the meantime, we could be losing out on quite a few of our targets. And we don't want that to happen. We don't, not under this fool. There you go. Not under this fool. Just get some proper players for once, at least. There you go. Gundogan, 100% going Saudi. He could go Saudi. They're spending some big money to get players over there. I'd take either Castagna, Cancelo on a 4-year deal. Sell on the very next year, far better than Ben Scheidt. But both them guys are inverted left back, and Arteta is a knobhead, obsessed with inverted twats. Yeah, he is obsessed with inverting. Totally hear that, Brandon. Anthony says we should keep Kieran Tierney at left back and move Zinchenko to DM. It's a no-brainer, but only if Arteta can see this. I agree. I think Zinchenko should be moved to midfield. You know, I think if Arsenal were sensible, they would move him to midfield and sign a proper left back, or keep Kieran Tierney, as you say. You know, Kieran Tierney. I can't believe the hate that Kieran Tierney gets. You know, I really cannot believe the hate that Kieran Tierney gets. This guy was one of the standout players for us during Emery's tenure. And in the first season when Arteta came in, and now all of a sudden, nobody wants him here. Like, make that make sense. This is a guy as well who's got a proper mindset. You know, you remember when he first came to Arsenal, they asked him if he'd been around and seen the sights in London. He's like, no, I ain't got time for that. I'm a professional footballer. I'm here to play. I'm here to win stuff. I ain't here to sightsee. That's the elite mindset that you need around the football club. And the guy's won multiple trophies, albeit at Celtic, but he still has that experience there. And Arsenal fans are quick to say, well, we'll move him on. You know, if Newcastle come in for 40 million, take him. Like, so you're going to go and strengthen Newcastle and weaken us for the sake of 40 million. Why? Why? Do you know what I mean? If Newcastle want him, then you got to look at that. You know what I mean? Robbie World laughing. I'm not sure what you're laughing at, bro. At the same time, signing these versatile players is stopping us getting another player. I could agree on that as well. Haaland get muscular injuries to himself. I think he's carrying one. He could be. He could be. Burnley want Lukaku on loan for next season. Burnley want Lukaku. Burnley. Jesus. I read today Arsenal are after Sterling. Oh my God. Oh my God. Sterling. Of all players. He's proved at Chelsea, you know. And don't get me wrong. Chelsea last season were awful. And I mean, the whole team was awful. So you can't just kind of point the blame at Sterling. But it's shown at Chelsea that being at Manchester City and being around big players and that, I just feel like he was never really meant to be there. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's always been this kind of player that when it's time for him to shine, he doesn't. And I'd be worried about that if Arsenal were going after Sterling. When Xhaka, Elneny and Holding goes, that's the last of the Wenger players. It certainly is. It certainly is. No more excuses. No more bullshit. You know, because we have cleared out this squad completely and utterly to give this manager all the players that he wants. And we still haven't won anything since. So, you know, accountability needs to be shown. It certainly will be this season by me, because if we don't win something this season, I'm going to go ham on all of these idiots. But we will see what happens with that. And then the last comment here from Taib, it says it took West Ham 40 years to win a European trophy and Arsenal couldn't win one in Wenger's 22 years. Put together, something ain't right at Arsenal. There isn't. You're right. Something isn't right. Something isn't right. I guarantee at least one of them Wenger players will still be here next season. I can guarantee that as well. You know, probably Rob Holding. Because he's got a new hairline now. So, you know, we like all this at Arsenal. Oh, look at Ben White. He's such a good-looking boy. Oh, Odegaard, what a good look. Like, what is this? It's not a fucking catwalk. It's a football club. Who gives a shit what they look like? I don't care. I'd rather them be an ugly bastard and win me something. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand it. And that's the only reason that these Arsenal fans want to keep Arteta about. Oh, look at him. He's the best-looking Spaniard. Fucking best-looking Spaniard. Honest to God. Really. Anyway, listen. As I've said, slap that like button up. Make sure you're doing that. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And look, I'm out of here. I'm going to be out of here. Make sure you leave it in the comment section. How do we catch Manchester City? Can we catch Manchester City? And look, big up to everybody who's tuned in today. I appreciate it. Look after yourselves and enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm out. Peace.